Hello, Goddess. Welcome back. It's your girl, Andrea, with You Are Mind, Body, Soul. I am a Goddess life coach. I focus on divine feminine energy, goddess energy. I do that through psychosomatic education, consciousness reconditioning, as well as goddess alchemy. And before we get started, please remember to like, share, and subscribe so this itty bitty channel can start to grow and blossom, and we can extend this goddess gang energy throughout the cosmos and throughout time. So welcome, welcome. Come settle in with me. I have a really cool topic that I'm going to talk about, and it is somewhat of a branch off of the topic of time management for your goddess energy activation. So we recently talked about masculine, feminine energy, how you manage your time, how you're going to approach time so that you can create structure in your life to invite more flow. The masculine energy is the structure, the feminine energy is the flow. We talked about dance, and particularly ballroom dance, partner dancing, how masculine energy is going to create the structure that carries the woman across the floor, and then the feminine that creates the design and the beauty within the direction that the masculine energy is taking on the dance floor, and how we can bring that into our lives. But today we're going to shift into the topic of ritual work, because everything in life is ritual. So in Goddess Alchemy, we recognize that we are going to look deeper than the surface of things. So we look deep, we go deep, and we also elevate ourselves and we look high. So the work that we do on ourselves goes deep into all of the aspects of ourselves, vibrationally, energetically, spiritually, mentally, physically. And then we are also going to zoom out of life and the everyday happenings and goings on of life to take a higher picture, and we activate our goddess perspective. So when it comes to rituals, a ritual, you can think of a ritual as basically anything that you are doing with intention. Okay, when you are taking time and you are completely present with that process, and there is a specific intention behind the process that you are initiating. So, a ritual does not have to be some kind of elaborate thing where you are cloaked in a special fabric that you got from the aisles of somewhere that your ancestors went to a century ago. Like, it's not that deep, okay? And we want to bring magic into our daily lives just through the power of intention, because we are magical and we create magical shit, which is the goddess gangs. That is our statement. That's our motto, right? So we can make simple things and simple moments in our lives rituals. Okay, so just starting with the habits that you have and bringing intentions into those daily habits can become rituals. So before I go into greater detail on ritual work, just stop for a moment and ask yourself, are there any rituals that you currently have in your life presently that you're aware of? And I'm going to get some water while you reflect on that question. Good. I remember when I first started on my spiritual journey, like I was super ritualistic. Everything was like a deep, intense ritual. I was just kind of just coated in it. And now I just take like the everyday aspects of life, and I ritualize them. So how can we think about ritual? And y'all know I got my notes here because that's how we roll. So rituals, I like to think of, well, what is the purpose of a ritual? It is to develop a cadence in life. And as a musician, as a drummer, excuse me, as a drummer, it's my responsibility, well, when I was drumming, it's my responsibility to hold down the rhythm and the pulse of the entire musical piece. And so when we are bringing rituals into our lives, we are creating a cadence in our lives, which creates a rhythmic pattern a rhythmic signal within every aspect of our being, mentally, spiritually, and physically, which then becomes a pulse like a beacon that is sent out into the fabric of our reality. It is the cadence, it is the rhythm in which we are able to direct our life force energy. So when you start to get into different knowledges in such as human design, for example, you start to realize that there are different places and spaces within our bodies that have energy, that emit energy. We either receive energy or we are already naturally full of this energy. And we are all life force energy as a whole, and life force energy runs through us. Okay, so when you take the power of your intentions, you are taking the life force energy that is flowing through you, and then you are telling it to be directed towards something in specific that is going to return back to you in the form of whatever that intention looked like, and it is going to provide for you. All right. And I also like to think of rituals as devotion. So within my academy that I have, and you can join the email link below to join the academy, I talk a lot about goddess devotion, and I go into detail about my process and my journey with my own personal goddess devotion. And so this is basically going to be a training on how to become more devoted to yourself. And some of this stuff is going to sound familiar, like you already knew it, but I encourage you just to stick with the message and to see what works and what vibrates for you, because sometimes all we need is a confirmation. All right. So when we set our intentions, we are going to be telling life what we want. We're programming ourselves, which then programs our life. Everything is programmable, and everything tends to run on patterns. A lot of times we think that we look around and there's chaos in front of us, but when you look at it from a different perspective or a higher perspective, you're going to see that everything has a pattern within it. There is always beauty within the chaos, okay? And divine feminine energy is chaos. It's chaos magic, okay? The divine feminine energy is the source of all creation, which means that from that expansiveness, which is like the ocean, for example, these things like the channels of water and rivers and lakes and smaller bodies of water are just smaller reflections of those things, okay? So the first ritual that I have on here, the first set of rituals I have are morning and evening ritual. All right. So when you are creating your morning and evening ritual, some of the things that you want to keep in mind are the time in which you're doing them. So again, we want to be thinking about creating patterns for ourselves and creating rhythm and life for ourselves. So if you can find similar times of the day in which you participate in your rituals and you separate the time for your rituals, it's really going to help to ingrain your energetic signature with that pulse of whatever it is you're doing. All right. So one, you want to do it at around a similar time. So for example, when I wake up, there's a time of day in which I prefer to wake up on pretty much about 6 days out of the week. I wake up at the same time, and it is like clockwork. I get out of bed, I go into the living room, I get my meditation on, I may do my mudras, which is yoga hand work, I'll do my breath work, and I will journal. I journal on most days, especially when I'm in seasons like this where I am just full of fertile creative energy and thoughts and ideas, which is the majority of the time, because again, I'm a human design generator, which means that I have an endless abundance of energy. I'm always journaling and creating content, and it is just always within me. And I remember when I first started journaling daily, it was kind of awkward for me because I was like, okay, well, what am I supposed to talk about, like with myself? And then it just became second nature. When you start to show up for life and you pay attention and you're asking questions and you're observing things, you're going to have a lot to journal about. Okay. And the dialogue that you have with yourself during the time in which you journal is going to grow and it's going to evolve. I have spoken with several clients that sometimes are afraid or reticent about the thoughts that are in their minds that they put to paper. And I think that in those situations, it's even more important to develop a journaling practice, because what's going to happen is as you continue to be devoted to your inner work, you'll start to realize that the conversation that you're having with yourself and the conversation that you're having with life and the way that you perceive life begins to evolve. And then when you look back on your past and how you were perceiving life and how you were processing life through the way in which you journal through it, you are going to have a deeper level of appreciation for your personal evolution and your personal inner work. Okay. So for your morning or your evening ritual, make sure that you take some time to journal. It is such a beautiful gift to be giving yourself a personal self awareness. And I have multiple journals. I have this journal where I put my notes, and then I put my season, my rhythmic stuff, and I put my moon intentions in. And then I have a daily journal where I talk about the deeper aspects. And then I also have another personal spiritual practice and rhythm that I go through, and I document the development of that and what I'm experiencing and the conversation that I'm having with life, the sacred conversation that I have with life in that journal. Do I have any other journals? I think it's mainly these two. And then, of course, I have my planner. I have my agenda where I put my to-do list on, and I get the great pleasure of checking things off of my to-do list, which is just so satisfying. And I think we talked about that in the other video on time management. All right. So your morning and evening ritual, you want them to be about the same time of the day. Okay. And you want them to be without distraction. So find a time in the day. If you have kids, you need to wake up before your children wake up and give yourself this time. Okay. Because if you don't give yourself this time, you can't expect to get anything out of life. You can't expect to get anything out of life energetically that you're not willing to give to yourself. That is just the nature of this three-dimensional reality. You have to give to yourself in order to receive, because we are a vibrational alignment for the life in which we live. So whatever your reality is looking like right now, you can empower yourself by recognizing that it is the reality that you created through the power of your intention, of your past self, right? So if you want to shift your reality and you want to create a new reality, you have to start that now by believing in your future and allowing yourself to be in vibrational alignment by way of your intentions and actions in order to get you into, or in order to align with that future. Like, it's not going to fall out of the sky like an anvil. Okay. So your morning meditations or your morning ritual may or may not involve meditation. For me, a meditation is anything that I am present with and I'm not distracted and I'm aware of my sensual faculties. So the presence in my body, the presence in my moment, and the presence of the energy that is surrounding me. I'm meditating. Okay. I don't like to make meditation super complex or difficult unless I'm doing like something very specific. I acknowledge presence, and I've just learned to just acknowledge that. And that feeds my soul, and it makes me feel open to life, and it makes me feel open to the wisdom that is constantly available throughout my moments. All right. So morning ritual, evening ritual, similar times of the day. Make sure that you're not distracted by anything. And when you do your rituals in the morning, you want to set intentions for your day, and you can get creative. That's the other thing about having rituals. Let me get some water. The other really fun thing about rituals, which is why this is in alignment with goddess energy activation, divine energy activation, is because it requires creativity. You can get creative with it. So when you're setting your intentions for the day, it could be, you could have a ritual where you have a book that is like an intentional guidebook, or maybe you have like a prayer book. Maybe that's your practice. Or if you want to journal out what your intentions are, or if you want to set like a reminder on your phone for the day of what your intentions are. As a yogi, I'm a certified yoga instructor, and I did it for my personal edification. Eventually, I'll probably do some yoga classes and courses within the academy, but for now, it's just for my personal practice. And I've been practicing yoga for many, many, many years, at probably, I don't know, maybe a decade or so. And in yoga, we learned that when you're within your yogic practice, you want to set an intention as you're going through the movements, because when you have an intention, translating this from, intentions for your day and intention through movement, through a practice that is challenging and equally fulfilling, such as yoga, when you have that intention at the start of your practice and you're moving through the asanas and you're doing those challenging breath works, and you're breathing hard and the blood is circulating and you feel the resistance in your body and you feel the resistance of the ego's narrative, you can come back to your intention. And this is why yoga is just such a beautiful practice to have, because it really teaches you how to stay intentional and how to stay present with everything that is happening, regardless of how the ego is defining it and the ego is narrating it. So that is why it's important for us to be intentional when we wake up with it throughout the day, because you never know what life is going to bring to you when you step outside. And if you have an intention to hold on to, which is an anchor within your higher goddess vibration, then you can be anchored and you can be grounded as you move through life. And your evening ritual is going to help you to separate yourself from the day that you had and from the external world. Because if you work, if you go to a job, if you have to go to like a corporate job, or if you have a busy day, you want to create a separation from the world, the external world, in your internal world. All right. You don't have to go to church to be within a temple. The body is a temple. Your house, your home is a temple. And when we go into the temple, we are there to venerate the sacredness and the beauty and the honor and the gratitude that we have for being able to show up for this human experience and all of the beauty that is involved with this human experience. We want to be able to make that break between the day that we had and the time that we are giving with ourselves, so that we can then ground back into and align back into our personal vibration. And this is something that I've developed being an introvert, but like I'm kind of like a popular loner. Honestly, to be honest with you, I'm kind of like a popular loner, Aquarius. So like I love being alone, y'all. I'm a big ass introvert. I am like a homebody. I have no problem with staying at home and reading and vibing and putting on some music and burning my sage, or going to the park and laying down a blanket and laying underneath a tree and feeling the breeze, or like solo travel. I went to Puerto Rico by myself this year. Like I'm a big introvert. However, when I show up for work, I got packed classes. Right now it's the summertime. It might be the fall by the time you see this video, but I've got packed classes, they're waitlisted, and I'm around my girls, I'm around my tribe, I'm having a great time, but I'm an empath. So I feel this energy. And I also give a lot of energy because my vibration is so high as a result of the maintenance and the devotional practices that I have that fill me up with that cadence, that then creates that magnetization. People love my energy. Women love my energy, which is why I love being here and sharing this with you, because being here on YouTube, it fills me up in a different way. Okay. But when I go to socialize and I go to teach and I'm in these environments and it's high energy, like I'm a generator. So when I bring energy into a room for the intentions of bringing energy into a room, like it's on and popping. It's on and popping. That's why my classes are always full. Um, and so I have to create that separation from me, because let's say that somebody shows up and they're having a bad day, or they show up crying and I'm hugging and I'm holding someone. As a life coach, someone is vibrationally, they're out of sorts, and I'm holding space for that. I have learned throughout my life that there must be a separation between these things. Otherwise, the energy, it sits on me and it affects me vibrationally. And then I have problems with showing up for myself and showing up, the next day for my community and showing up for life. So we always want to be aware of energies and creating space between our own energy and others, outside of the instances in which we are making those exchanges. And I'm going to talk about that in another video, actually. All righty. So let's move on to the next ritual. Okay. So the next ritual that every goddess needs for that activation is a beauty ritual. All right. So beauty rituals are not something that I was really heavily into up until kind of sort of like the recent past, when I started to explore different things and different oils and things like that. And also my beauty ritual, I have a couple of beauty rituals, which I go more into detail in with the 14-day reset. But one of the easiest rituals that you can create is when you are cleansing, so showering, and when you are moisturizing your body. So we can just go there. All right. So you can create a ritual around, and this could be your evening ritual, around when you bathe or when you shower, and you can use water to cleanse the energy off of you for the day. A lot of times people will get insights when they're in the shower and they're in the bath. You can use your bath as a ritual to cleanse the energy off of you from the day, and also to open up your psychic perceptions if you want to be more intuitive and if you want to find that connection with self. And then when you're moisturizing yourself, you can do that intentionally by speaking to your skin and speaking to the cells within your body. This is very powerful goddess alchemical stuff. It's simple, but it's really powerful. And one of my favorite rituals that I am going to share with you is wood therapy that I started doing recently. So I have like this wood stick, and so I use it for muscle tension, actually. And it is like it's the most addictive thing, because as a full-time athlete, I'm used to being sore. I'm always working out. And so when I work with this wood therapy, I'm just moving the lactic acid out of my body, and I get to do it myself. And because, I'm doing it because I'm driven I'm motivated by the process of, coming out of pain, being pain free. I also just add that bonus factor of being intentional with how I speak to my body and how I want my body to look. So the cells in your body are going to respond to the way that you speak to it and the way that you talk to it. Okay. Also, you can make putting on your makeup a beauty ritual, and how you speak to yourself, because we put on makeup because we are transforming ourselves to an extent, right? And so if you wanted to show up as the person without your makeup on versus the person with your makeup on, you wouldn't need makeup, right? So when we put on makeup, it's because you are activating a certain transformation in the way that you want to be perceived, right? And so when you speak to yourself, you can be intentional about what is going on as you beat your face, right? And I go more into detail in that in the academy. You can do a lot with that, and in that realm. And the course that I have coming up is going to be powerful. Y'all got to get into this course, I'm telling you. Okay, so The next ritual that I have is a nutritional ritual. And essentially, the 14-day reset course basically ritualizes a nutritional lifestyle for you. So it's going to move you out of the thought and the mindset of needing to diet to see physical results to thinking about the bigger picture of the year and the seasons and developing a nutritional lifestyle, which is going to help you to become firmly aware of what your baseline health and wellness looks like. And we do that through a 14-day reset. Okay. And so having a nutritional ritual is very important. So a simple example of this outside of, the course, everything that I talk about the course, which it's a great course. There's over 6 hours of information and material in there that you can use to get you going. But one example of a nutritional ritual is when I food prep. So during peak season, I food prep once a week where I'll make like a large pot of maybe like a lentil soup, or I'll make a giant kale salad, which I have recipes for in the course as well. And I'll prepare my proteins for the week, and I make sure that I have everything that I need so that when I go and I step into the week, I'm already aware of what my nutritional framework is going to look like. So that ritual of preparing my food, if you want to be super powerful and super energized in the way in which you show up with life, whenever you cook something, you speak to your food. Whatever you speak to, whatever you put your energy directly into, you give it power. And that goes for everything. Okay. So when you cook your food and when you prepare your food, you want to speak to it. And that is something that is really going to change a lot for you, because if we're already eating light energy and we're putting fruits and vegetables in our body, and then we speak to that food and we reinfuse it with our own personal intention, your goddess energy is going to be off the Richter scale. And these are like just simple life hack goddess secrets that I've used that have made the biggest difference in the world for me. People always look at me, they're like, how the hell do you do so much? It's because I manage my vibration and I make my life a ritual. Simple. It's simple. And it's fun. It's so much fun. It makes life so much more fun. It makes it interesting. Okay. Okay, so the next ritual I have is a fitness and a movement ritual. As goddesses, it's super important that we're moving our body in any kind of way, whether you are taking a walk outside to tap dancing, okay? Whether you are sitting in the chair in your office and you're moving your hips and your shoulders, to going and taking a dance class and moving to doing a yoga class. Okay, it doesn't matter how simple or complex it is, as long as you have some kind of regular movement practice. And as you start with this practice and with this movement practice, it becomes a ritual, because again, it starts to become a part of the cadence of your life that feeds your vibration, which is essential for you to have a fabulous, delicious, wonderful life you're giving to yourself. Goddesses move their body, okay? Doesn't have to be dance, because working with students and working with movers, there's a lot of like pressure that comes with that word. So, I don't like to always just go to straight to, well, you need to be dancing. No, but you do need to use your body. Like, use your body or lose it. Move it or lose it. Use it or lose it, okay? All righty. So I'm going to save that one. I'm going to save that one for last. Please like if you have stayed on the video this far. Leave a heart below. Leave me a heart. Show me some love down below, so I know I'm not talking to myself. Okay, 2 more rituals that are essential for goddess energy activation. And I'm going to keep these simple and straight to the point. I could talk a lot about this. I could do one whole video on this, or like put this in a course. But the rituals that I started off with long ago are new moon and a full moon ritual. All right. With the new moon, you are going to set your intentions for that cycle. Moon cycles come every 2 weeks. So every other week, there is going to be a new moon or a full moon. So if the moon starts at new, which I think it just did the other day, which is the Leo moon, when the moon is new, it's dark, it's empty, it's black. And black is the color of infinite potential, right? And as she waxes, which means she's growing and she's expanding, so are we energetically as well. And so is the reality that we live in. And so are our intentions when we are intentional in life. And we're going to have a part 2 on that. Hang on a second. Okay, let's go ahead and roll with it. So when you are starting at the new moon, all right, the moon is black. She is opening up into her potential, all right? And so that's going to happen for 2 weeks. It's going to grow. And when you start to find the cadence with those moon cycles and you begin to alchemize your intentions in life, you're going to find that you are coming into resonance with the earth. With as feminine beings, we are in alignment with that energy, especially as we become more aware, which has become something that's actually hard to believe because of all of the plastics and the synthetic things that we are surrounded with. We absolutely forget this, but the simple intention of aligning yourself with where the moon is when she is empty and when she is full is going to change your life in powerful, unexpected ways. So with the new moon, we set intentions to build things and to grow things that we want to see change in our lives and within us. And then with the full moon, we want to release the things that we don't need, right? So you want to be aware of the things that you no longer want to carry, and you want to set intentions to release those things. Another thing that happens as you start to get into your new moon and your full moon rhythms are you become aware of the fact that the moon sheds light on psychic things and psychic energies and things that are below the surface. Have you ever been to the beach on a full moon night? It's one of the most beautiful things that you will ever see, how the light of the moon lights up the water and the water sparkles as a reflection of the moon. And what happens is the tide is going to be higher as the moon is full. So this is what is happening on the planet that we live in. This is Earth, and we are Earth keepers as goddesses. It's very important. And you know what? I should do a video on that as I'm thinking about that. That Earth keeper energy and channel my Native American heritage into that. But what happens is the water is actually higher. So the belly of the sea grows as a result of the magnetic pull that the moon has on it, okay? So the aquatic life is more active in there. Another thing, and this is super goddess alchemical information, is that our bodies are filled with about 75% of water, okay? Everybody. And so naturally, when the moon is full, your body is going to respond to that. If you have water imbalances or sodium imbalances, and this is how we become aware, you have to be aware of these things. You may find that your body is more swollen, like your joints are more swollen. Start to notice what's going on with your body as the moon is full. Another thing is you're going to crave more sugar, because Candida, which is a form of yeast, is sensitive to moon energy. And this is something that I learned a while ago in my studies. So if you're trying to kick a sugar habit or discipline yourself and eat clean, just be aware that when the moon is full, that this may potentially be more challenging. Because if we're feeding our bodies with Candida sugar, it is going to be sending those messages into us that it wants more. Right? So you have to be careful and you have to be aware of those things. And there's one more thing that I wanted to say. Let me see if I can remember it about the moon energy. What was it? So there's the psychic energy. You're going to get more downloads when the moon is full. You're going to want to be releasing when the moon is full. And it's also a great time to do intention setting energy as well, because some moons are just so powerful like that. So another thing to note when it comes to the new moon and the full moon ritual, just because I'm saying and like that the standard is to manifest with the new moon and to release with the full moon. So manifest with the new moon and to release with the full moon. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to color within those particular lines. This is just a guidepost for you. Okay. You can live your life however you feel divinely called to. So what I'm basically saying is that just because a new moon is for intentions and to be filling up as the moon waxes, it does not mean that I can't set intentions with the full moon. Okay. If I feel divinely called and in alignment with a strong intention at the time of the full moon, I'm going to set my intentions around that, and I'm going to create a ritual for whatever it is I desire at that time if I feel like that desire is in alignment. Okay. So it's important that you take whatever works for you and you leave the rest. But go through that experience and go through the process and have that for yourself, right? This is goddess alchemy. It's not mundane, basic, I'm telling you what to do, and then you follow the rules and you check through the lines. Go into the course for that. I'll tell you exactly what to do. Okay. But at the end of the day, we want to be super creative in the way in which we approach life, because that's when all of the juiciness comes, and that's where we get to find that delight. Now, if you stayed on this video this long, I have a bonus for you. All right. The very last ritual that I want to add in here is a self-touch ritual. Okay. Now, as a sensual dancer on the pole and on the floor, I will get on the hoop, on the aerial hoop, and I will make that sexy too. I'll make that sensual. It's very important that you touch yourself, and dance has taught me this. Okay. When I'm dancing and when I'm moving and I touch myself, which we call body tracing, it is telling yourself that you love your body, and you're sending positive messages and positive energy into your body. And this is not the same ritual as the beauty ritual. I'm talking about something else. I'm talking about just putting your hands on your body and sending love and sending those intentions. I want to be healthy. I want you to be vibrant, or not I want, because the statement of I want would say that it is actually not physically happening right now. You say I am. You use I am statements, present statements. Okay. So you ever heard the statement tighter and brighter? I love that one. That one always gives me a tickle. Tighter and brighter, tighter and brighter. As you're wearing your Spanx and you're drinking your collagen. No, just kidding. But shout out to the waist trainers though. If you wear a waist trainer, it's really great for posture. All right. But yeah, so you want to be touching yourself, and, when you do your breast exams, you don't want to be doing your breast exams like, oh man, I got to go through my breast exam today. No, you want to touch your breast and you want to tell them that you're grateful for them holding love, for sharing love. That's your heart space. Okay. And you want to touch your skin and you want to tell your skin that you appreciate it it's the largest organ in your body, for protecting you and serving as a barrier from the outside world. Like, send gratitude in your body. Touch yourself. Touch yourself. Don't wait for someone else to give you affection. Learn how to give yourself affection. Fall in love with yourself. You can't expect anyone to fall in love with you if you are not in love with yourself. Which brings me to my very last topic. I lied. I have one more bonus for you. You want to have a grounding ritual. A grounding ritual can be done either seated in a chair, okay? And imagine that you are being rooted down into the base of your spine, and that root comes down all the way into the earth. I like to do this when I'm driving because I commute a lot. So when I'm in the car, I'll ground into my root, the base of my spine and my feet. And I'll imagine that there's a cord coming down out of the bottom of my spine and into the earth. Okay. You can go outside, walk barefooted on the earth. Definitely. Go hug a tree. Sit down when you're in a chair, when you're in a surface, allow it to embrace you. A lot of times we're like ready to get up and go, even though you're already seated, right? Are you allowing the surfaces that you're sitting in and that you're being supported by to actually hold you? So grounding yourself. And when you ground yourself, you are allowing yourself to embody. You are being embodied. You're truly being fully encompassed in your own body, in your own existence. And so grounding is very important for our root chakra activation, because even though we do spiritual practices and we're spiritually aware, we are physical, tangible, raw beings, raw reflections of Mother Earth. And we want to honor that with every opportunity that we get. So that's all that I have for you. I hope to see you in the next one. One love. Start your rituals today. Mwah.